In episode 3, Sean gets a text message from Julian in the middle of the night to head outside. And when he does, he gets in a car and Julian is with another guy who is a private investigator that Julian knows. Sean and Julian have had this guy look into who exactly Leanne is. And there's really no social media trace of her at all. But there is record of a Leanne Grayson being born in Wisconsin. So Julian and this private investigator are going to fly out to Wisconsin in the morning and go and check out and see exactly what they're dealing with. Problem is, they need a picture of her. And Sean says, oh, no problem. I'll get the one from the resume because her resume had a picture attached to it. But when Sean goes back inside and looks at the resumes, her resume is suddenly gone. It's missing. And it forces Sean to walk into her bedroom and take a picture of her while she's sleeping. Which, by the way, insanely bizarre behavior. But gets the job done and he sends it to Julian, and Julian and the PI head out to Wisconsin. Sean the next day has to get ready to cater a private event. His sous chef, Toby, comes over to start helping him out, and Sean is very stressed out because his fish shipment hasn't arrived yet. He's also stressed out because he has no taste buds. And it's worth mentioning that this show was done pre-COVID, so Sean could be patient 1 in the US. But I digress. Sean gets a knock at the door, and it is his fish shipment, so he goes to grab that. And Leanne brings Jericho downstairs with Dorothy introducing Leanne to Toby, explaining what Toby does. Sean then walks in with the fish shipment, and it's a bunch of eels. They're squirming all around, and to kill it, Sean ends up smacking it against the table, although it continues to squirm. In order to get it to stay still, Sean nails it to the table. But once again, this thing continues to squirm. And as Toby and Sean start to skin it, Leanne is visibly upset. It's kind of the first sign of normalcy from her, but she gets so uncomfortable that she actually faints, and Toby has to bring her upstairs. When she wakes up, Dorothy is on her bedside making sure that she's okay. Leanne apologizes to her, calling her Mrs. Turner, but Dorothy says, stop calling me that. Call me Dorothy. And by the way, me and you, we're going to be best friends. Downstairs, though, as Sean continues to get his food ready for the event, he gets a FaceTime from Julian letting him know that they've arrived in Wisconsin and they're heading over to the house that is of record for the Grayson residence. When he heads back to the kitchen, though, Dorothy is waiting for him. She hands him Jericho and tells him that her and Leanne are going to head out to Center City to grab some lunch and kind of have a girls' day because Dorothy's off. She also makes Sean apologize to Leanne for making her feel uncomfortable, which Sean reluctantly does. But shortly after they leave, Sean gets another FaceTime from Julian. And this time they're at the house. But the house has been damaged in a fire. They go into it just to see if they can see anything, and the house has been badly damaged. It smells horrible, and there's no real family heirlooms there. No pictures of anything. But something does catch Sean's eye in the video, and that is a handmade woven cross just like the one that was above Jericho's bed. And it definitely freaks Sean out. But he has to end the call because the girls have gotten home. But instead of revealing this to Dorothy, knowing that it's a delicate situation, he just asks her, hey, what did you guys talk about? Did she tell you anything about herself, where she came from? But Dorothy says, no, not really. She's pretty quiet. We really just talked about me. Dorothy then says, though, that they should have a date night because Leanne has offered to watch Jericho that night for free and they want to take advantage of it. So she tells Sean, book a table somewhere and we'll go out. But before he gets ready that night, he pays Toby $100 to stay in the house, finish up some prep work, but mainly keep an eye on things. And as he's handing over the Benjamin Franklin upstairs, Dorothy is getting ready for her date, but talking to her new best friend. Leanne asks her how her and Sean met, but she says, no, enough of me. I want to know about the real Leanne Grayson. Is there a guy at home? And Leanne seems to be uncomfortable with this topic and doesn't give an answer, but it leads Dorothy to think that there is, in fact, somebody at home waiting for her. She then tells Leanne, hey, if you ever want to borrow any of my things, just let me know. Just ask. And then she heads downstairs to head out with Sean. But before they do leave, Dorothy kisses him. And then her hand travels down the pants into the fun place, just like high school, over the pants. And Leanne is watching all of this go down, although the Turners have no idea. Once they do leave, though, Leanne ends up blasting some classical music, just like any normal 18-year-old would, but also putting on some of Dorothy's jewelry, some of her makeup, and heading downstairs and running into Toby, who was kind of weirded out by the classical music, but Leanne asks him if he wants to have a drink with her. And this is really bizarre behavior because before, when offered alcohol, she was acting like she was stringent to the whole being 21. The only time she did drink was when she was peer pressured to do it by Julian. But Toby's a young kid. She's 18 years old. They're in a house by themselves. Yeah, okay, I'll have a drink. And while they're sipping on this Zinfandel, she asks him, hey, are you hungry? And he says, yeah, I could eat. And Toby starts looking through the refrigerator for some food, mentioning a bunch of things. But then all of a sudden, there's a smack behind him. And it's because Leanne had grabbed one of the eels and smashed its head against the table. So I guess she's over that whole killing the eel thing. Toby, though, is a sous chef, so he whips up some food. But just as the two are about to sit down to eat, there's a knock at the door, and it's Julian. And Julian tells Toby, you can go home, leaving Toby outside completely perplexed as to how he just got cock-blocked. Julian then goes inside and sees Leanne wearing his sister's jewelry, wearing her makeup, drinking her wine, and he thinks he might have a gold digger on his hands. He tries to tough talk her, saying if you want to get to Dorothy, you have to get through me. But then she completely gets him off his game by asking, were you here when it happened? Did they call you for help? And it totally throws Julian off. He doesn't really know what to do. So he just gets out and pours out the rest of the wine. But Leanne gets really close to him and mimics what Dorothy did to Sean with the over-the-pants move. And Julian's uncomfortable but doesn't stop it. The two are interrupted when the Turners come home, and they're pretty surprised to see Julian there, but he says, I was in the neighborhood. He's really come to give Sean an update on what they found. He shows him a video of as they were leaving this little small farm town in Wisconsin, they saw a cemetery and decided to stop by. And sure enough, they found the gravestones of the Graysons. Leanne's mother, Leanne's father, but then they found the gravestone of Leanne Grayson. So who the hell is this person in their house? They head outside to get out of earshot, and Julian thinks that she might be there trying to blackmail the family because she didn't seem all that shocked when the baby ended up being a doll. He thinks that somehow she might have gotten this information previously. But everything's on the table because no one knows what the hell is going on or who the hell she is. The last thing Julian says before he leaves is, the longer that thing stays here, the longer this is going to cost you. And then he takes off. And when Sean walks back in the house, he can hear Jericho crying, so he heads upstairs to coddle him and soothe him, but he's also trying to make sense of everything he just heard. Thank you so much for watching this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you thought it sucked. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, don't worry, it'll be up soon. And please be nice in the comments section. Nobody likes being told they suck, even if it's true. Oh, and sharing's caring.